comes to Florida and the people in it. Like, half the people here think using sunscreen is going to send you straight to hell. So with that in mind, let's see what Florida people are up to when it comes to coronavirus and the controversial topic of wearing a mask.
You literally cannot mandate somebody to wear a mask knowing that that mask is killing people. It literally is killing people.
Yeah, this is why it's so easy to scam people these days, because everyone just wants to feel special, so they just will believe anything at all that puts them in a category that's different from others, no matter how fucking wrong it is. Like this claim right here, you can immediately disprove that masks are killing people with a 2-second Google search, but it doesn't matter because she believes it. She saw it on Facebook, and now she 100% believes it and will not hear the actual truth. That's why people are buying fucking special rocks that they're told blocks Wi-Fi, which they're told, exposure to Wi-Fi over time will cause your nipples to fall off. And they don't bother to do any research on it. They just stick in this fucking disgusting echo chamber on Facebook and believe things like masks are killing people.
And we the people are waking up, and we know what citizens arrest is, because citizens arrests are already happening, okay? And every single one of you that are obeying the devil's laws are going to be arrested. And you, doctor, are going to be arrested for crimes against humanity.
Whoa, calm down there, Judge Dredd. Jesus Christ, she's out here being the judge, jury, and executioner. Threatening a citizen's arrest, that's serious. Citizen's arrest, I think, has been pulled off successfully 0 times in the entire history of that fucking thing's existence. I'm pretty sure citizen's arrest was started as a joke, and then they just kept it there as a joke. Threatening to citizen's arrest somebody is like threatening to shoot laser beams out of your eyeballs at somebody. It's a threat that you just laugh at.
Every single one of you have a smirk behind that little mask, but every single one of you are going to get punished by God. You cannot escape God. You cannot escape God. I'm going to say that again. You cannot escape God, not even with the mask or 6 feet, okay?
Damn, and here I thought I was safe with my 6 feet, but I guess God has an answer to everything, huh? He can counter pretty much every move? What a shame. Well, as you would expect, the majority of people that are against masks think that it infringes on their God-given oxygen. Because apparently when they put on a mask, they suction cup it to their face and suffocate themselves or some shit. I don't know how the fuck they wear a mask unless they're duct taping it around their face until they pass out. I couldn't tell you. But you're gonna see that argument a lot in this council meeting here today.
6 feet, like I said before, is military protocol. You're trying to get the people to train them so when the cameras, the 5G comes out, what? They're gonna scan everybody. We gotta get scanned. We gotta get temperatured. The kids have to go to school with masks. Are you insane? Are you crazy?
Yeah, are you guys crazy? Are you insane? This lady's out here, very knowledgeable, spitting some facts right in front of you. And you have these devilishly crazy ideas like 5G? Oh my god. I'm actually pretty sure this lady is an android constructed by Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg himself created her in a lab and just compiled every fucking garbage Facebook conspiracy and belief and put it all into one person and then unleashed her on this council meeting in Florida just to test it out.
I think all of you should be in a psych ward right the heck now, because none of you know what the hell you are all talking about. This is insane. And then you want to open this meeting with a prayer to God. Are you praying to the devil? Because God is not listening to that prayer, because all of you are practicing the devil's laws. What happened to Bill Gates? Why is he not in jail? Why is Hillary Clinton not in jail? Why are all of these pedophiles that are demanding you all to listen to their rules? Why are they not in jail? Oh, is it because you're part of them? Are you part of the deep state?
Your time has expired.
The deep state is going down. And if any of you are in the deep state, you're going down with.
So the female Alex Jones goes on a full-fledged rant there. Unfortunately, they cut her off before she got into the interdimensional time-traveling psychic vampire werewolves, but I'm sure she'll come back for the next meeting to discuss that. To see this woman in the condition she's in where her brain has been rotted by Facebook is actually pretty sad, if I'm being honest. She clearly takes everything she sees on Facebook at face value, no matter how outrageous it is, fucking bringing up Bill Gates and shit like that. What I'm hoping for, though, is in the next couple months we can see an explosion of the reptilian movement, because at least that shit is entertainingly stupid. Not dangerous, for those that don't know, the reptilian conspiracy is people that believe that there's lizard people among us that hide as human beings, and they'll talk about like zippers on the side of their face and shit like that. The reptilian one is great.
And I'll quote you, Miss McKinley. You said if you don't like the rules, shop somewhere else. Well, after today, I won't have that option anymore because I am discriminated on every single time I tell somebody that I have a medical condition that does not allow me to wear a mask.
Another passionate speech is given here, and another misguided person is led astray thanks to the internet. As you can see, the person behind her is holding up an anti-vax sign talking about the dangers of vaccines. So, I mean, this is kind of the clientele you're dealing with when you're presenting this kind of shit at a council meeting. But it is sad. And apparently everyone in the entire fucking world that uses Facebook has a medical condition that prevents you from wearing a mask. I guess just using Facebook is a disease in and of itself that inhibits the person's ability to fucking breathe anymore, apparently. It's super weird how everyone who reads that rubbing essential oils in your butthole is gonna heal you of coronavirus somehow also has an unspecified, undiagnosed medical condition that prevents them from wearing a mask out in public. Super fucking weird.
You're not God, and since masks are harmful, where there is risk, there should be choice. You're removing our freedoms and stomping on our constitutional rights by these communist dictatorship orders or laws you want to mandate. Today, you have the ability to show your residents that you truly care. Because if you do vote to mandate masks in a workplace, in public, in schools or stores, the death of many will be on your hands. The overwhelming evidence that is being presented to you today in no way, shape, or form can consciously allow you to put your citizens' health at risk. Voting yes to mask mandates makes no scientific sense.
Ah yes, some very compelling evidence was being presented today, such as, masks are bad, it's the work of the devil. What about Bill Gates? Are you kidding me? This is God's air. What the fuck is happening? You want to 5G us? Yeah, that's some real good evidence right there. I just can't even fucking wrap my head around it. They convinced themselves that they're making good points. It's like they don't even hear themselves talk anymore. It's wild. It's wild. It's like using Facebook over time like rips your soul out of your body and you just become like this husk. Like this clueless fucking husk of a person. These fucking people, have they never seen a doctor? And nurses, doctors in a hospital setting, they fucking wear masks for 6-8 hours a day. These people have probably never put a mask on in their goddamn life. They lack object permanence. Like if you put a handful of dollar bills, like if you put $5 in your hand and put it behind your back, they probably think it's not even there anymore, that it's just fucking vanished. They're like goddamn children. They see a mask over your face and they think you can't breathe. It's so silly.
Keep taking the road of least resistance. Keep listening to the TV brainwashing you from birth. Keep listening to conditioning messages in your local stores while shopping, just like Fidel Castro did over the loudspeakers in Cuba. Don't you see the problem? The truth is out there. Just go seek the truth.
Yeah, the truth is out there. Go seek the truth. As long as it's the truth that I found on Facebook. I always love that sentiment from people like this. Go do real research. No, not that research from like scientists and shit. I'm talking about like actual research, you know, from like Facebook meme pages that are run by a dude in his fucking shit-stained underwear in his 40s. That he actually knows what he's talking about, not these experts. These experts are fucking clueless. They're propaganda machines. And do real research at Facebook.
My concern, since I do have a medical condition that I cannot wear a mask, you are taking food away from my table.
Now that is an absolutely great point. Hey, while you're on your phone, why don't you download like Uber Eats or some shit like that, or one of the million other apps that deliver food to your door. That way you can still get those precious nutrients on your table without being a big fucking nuisance to everyone else around you.
And they want to throw God's wonderful breathing system out the door. You're all turning your backs on it.
Yeah, I found the entire stream, all 6.5 hours, and this is the only time it buffered. It's like what she said was so shocking that even the video itself had to take a pause to process it. Turning our backs on God's beautiful breathing system. You know, what can you even say about that, honestly?
God made it so that we would breathe in fresh oxygen to go to our body, to every cell in the body. It has to have that to make energy. When you wear a mask, the nose is cut off, the mouth is cut off, and you're breathing carbon dioxide over and over and over again. You're not getting the fresh oxygen that God intended. You're sending carbon dioxide to every cell in the body, polluting it.
I'd like to say, in the beginning, God formed man out of the earth and breathed his breath in him, and he became a living soul. And God gave us the very breath that we are to breathe. I would also like to know, where do you get the authority to reduce my oxygen? Who made you perpetrators over my life?
Jesus Christ, there isn't some kind of invisible goblin unit that's stealing oxygen away from you and giving it to the government. It's a fucking mask.
And ma'am, as a doctor, I really have many question marks about your degrees and what you really know, because what you say is the political dogma that they're trying to shove down our throats on every commercial and every store, and it's disgusting. And I'm sorry, ma'am, but I don't think that you are worthy of your credentials. And I would ask suggestively that you go back to school and get educated.
Yeah, why don't you get educated like this perfectly sane woman here who was talking about how God breathed into people's assholes in the beginning of time or something? Why can't you be more knowledgeable and smart like this woman?
To put masks on our face, to keep us from breathing oxygen, to get us to become sickly.
Actual fucking toddlers with a little tantrum. No, I'm not eating my vegetables. No, how dare you make me eat my vegetables? That's not fair. You can't make me eat these vegetables. I don't want to eat these vegetables. Same fucking thing with this mask debacle here.
How can you make a one-size-fits-all mandate? Are you considering the following? I've been a music teacher for 23 years. I need you to tell me, how do I play a saxophone and sing with a mask on? I'll let you think about that.
Checkmate. Yeah, masks are a bad idea. She can't play the saxophone. I don't know why we didn't think of that. How are you supposed to play a brass instrument with a mask on? You can't. It just doesn't work. You're not going to be able to play a beautiful tune. And if it's interfering with the saxophone playing, well, the masks, I guess they just gotta go. Somehow, this was the most sane argument I saw from people at this meeting. I mean, because she's not wrong. I mean, you can't really play the saxophone with a mask on. You'd have to take the mask down and then play it. Everyone else just talked about how they were dying, how the masks were literally making people drop dead in the streets. At least hers was accurate, hey, she's not wrong. You can't play the sax with a mask on. If I'm being honest, all of these people and their words actually did speak to me and open my third eye to a truth. I now understand why insane fucking lunatics like this actually have some level of power and a voice in decision making. It's because they're the only goddamn troglodytes that leave their cave to go to these fucking meetings. This meeting lasted 6.5 hours, and the only people there were anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers. These fucking brainwashed idiots that still believe the tooth fairy is real waited 6.5 hours just to go walk up to a mic for 30 seconds and regurgitate what they read on Facebook while being laughed at by the people they're saying it to. A normal, rational person will be like, well, 6.5 hours just to speak for 30 seconds and, get made fun of. Probably not worth the time investment. But these fucking people lack even the most basic cognitive functions to register what boredom is. So they will happily wait 6.5 hours just to read some garbage script off their phone they wrote while fucking half blacked out on Xanax and wine. And then it's incredible to me. And incredible is the wrong word. Terrifying is the appropriate word. These speeches are like fucking middle school debate club level shit. But comprehensible wasteland. Almost like something out of a fantasy novel, like Narnia, if Narnia was infested with drugs and human trafficking. But for me, I call Florida home. I've lived in this utopia for all 28 years of my life, and I've gotta tell ya, I swear with my hand on a stack of Bibles, there's nowhere else I'd rather live. Being completely truthful. Born and raised from the womb to the tomb in Florida. Well, I guess not womb to tomb, because I'm pretty sure Florida's going to be underwater within the next 20 years, but hey, we're on a tight schedule, I guess. We're on the clock now, and that only makes the time we have with Florida even more special. What's that expression? The star that burns brightest burns out fastest? That is very applicable to Florida. It is a shining star of a state. That little hemorrhoid on the USA? That's right. That's Florida, baby. So anyway, I was feeling awfully patriotic today, and I wanted to celebrate some Florida enthusiasm by talking about a few stories that I've just been thinking about a lot over the last couple days since I learned about them because they're so wacky. Florida has a reputation for producing the most outrageous headlines ever, which is why Florida Man has been like a coined phrase for quite a few years now. Florida Man is just always referring to the crazy stories that could only really happen in Florida. And there's just some that I've really been thinking about that have happened recently. The first story is almost wholesome in its stupidity. So a man stole an electric scooter from Target and then assembled it outside the Target he had stole it at. So he was out there assembling this electric scooter for quite a long time, which gave the police ample opportunity to show up and arrest him.
What's going on, man?
What's up?
Do me a favor, stand up.
Huh?
Stand up. I'm gonna detain you for a second. Come here. Put it down.
Yes, sir.
Jimmy Neutron's already been hard at work assembling this device. You can see the electric scooter box right next to him, so he's taking it out, he's following the instructions and putting it together. And usually these aren't exactly quick projects, so the authorities would have had plenty of time to not only receive the call from Target, but to then go ahead and stop for lunch if they wanted to, and then still show up in time to arrest this guy. He was out there for quite a while building the scooter, so the police showed up and probably were beyond surprised to see that he was still there. This was probably like a jump scare for them as well, that this guy who had stolen his scooter like 30 minutes ago was just outside putting it together.
You know why I'm detaining you?
No, sir.
No? Okay. Once I get these on you, I'll explain it to you. We'll get it all figured out, alright?
Alright.
A confounding mystery, no doubt. Why would this good Samaritan just casually putting together the electric scooter he just stole possibly be getting arrested or detained here? Something that science can't quite explain, I suppose. I just really like this whole idea here. He steals the scooter and he's like, alright, great. Oh man, I can't ride this. It's in the box. Well, guess I'm gonna have to put this shit together like it's some fucking Legos. And he just does it outside the Target he stole it at. He could have taken that anywhere else. Literally anywhere else. He could have taken it to like a nearby park or even just on the sidewalk somewhere and started putting it together, but instead he puts it together at the danger zone, the hot spot where he had just committed a crime.
Did you buy the scooter? You don't want to answer that question?
Caught him with his hand in the cookie jar with that question. He asks if he bought the scooter, to which he receives no reply. So then the reality starts to sink in for this guy. I'll go ahead and break down the story here, though it's not super interesting, very generic. Target employees saw him grab the Razor electric scooter, so then they just called the police on him, who then showed up and arrested him because he was outside fucking building the thing. What I really love so much about this one is the fact that this is actual, like, Skyrim NPC behavior. So this guy committed a crime. He takes the scooter, he steals it. And then the second he leaves the store, he must have forgot how he acquired that scooter and thought it was totally okay to just go ahead and start putting it together there. That item he just stole. The next story I want to share with you all is actually a really interesting crime plot. This one's got a lot of layers to it. This one's like almost a huge scheme. It's a $1 million plus milk theft. This is actually like a whole crime group, like the fucking Milk Mafia. They got together and hatched the perfect crime, like Ocean's 11. They decided they were going to steal a fucking ton of milk. A lot of dairy products. It actually goes pretty deep. So the 6 suspects were employees of Island Dairy, a milk distributor that worked with MacArthur Dairy, a milk and dairy products company, and they were arrested as a result of an investigation dubbed Operation Got Milk. This is already a lot to take in. So you've got a lot of players at play on the chessboard here, a lot of pieces in position. When I first saw the headline, I expected it to be like 1 or 2 Florida men that thought they could steal a lot of milk and sell it. So they stole $1 million worth of milk, and I was like, holy shit, they just made $1 million. It took me a minute to register in my fucking smooth little brain here that who in the world, who on God's green earth is going to be buying $1 million worth of milk? That's not exactly a product that you could turn around and immediately get your money out of. You'd be squatting on a massive, massive fucking inventory of dairy for years before you even remotely started to be able to sell some of it. I don't think there's like a booming black market for milk, so it's not like you're just going to immediately be able to turn it around and sell it on the fucking Grand Exchange like it's RuneScape or something. And I've got to be honest, I'll admit my ignorance here. I don't know if Big Dairy buys from random people, right? So if you have $1 million worth of milk that you have stolen from these trucks, how are you going to try and sell it to a different distributor or a different company? I just don't think they'd be buying your, trunk of milk, right? You pull up behind an alley and you're like, all right, I've got the fucking product here. And they give you money for the milk. I don't think a huge market to be able to immediately turn these products into money in their hands. News stations reported that suspects were delivery drivers and dispatchers for Island Dairy. Since 2021, the suspects systematically pilfered more than $925,000 worth of milk from MacArthur Dairy, along with around $350,000 worth of crates. So obviously we're dealing with a lot of milk here. This is more than a Morton Joe was able to harvest in Mad Max Fury Road. The men would allegedly manipulate the ordering system, causing extra dairy products to be loaded onto the distribution delivery trucks. Police said that the delivery drivers would deviate from their pre-assigned routes, meet with another individual, and transfer the extra dairy products to their delivery truck. So they even reveal the method here. They're just giving away the formula that they used. One suspect allegedly sold each stolen milk carton for $10. Let's pump the brakes for a moment. Who the fuck is buying that? Not only is the price not great, but it's also extremely sketchy just to be buying a carton of milk from a stranger. Who would do that? That shit could be poison. It could be just fucking liquid cyanide in there. Like, what? Why would you do that instead of just going to Walmart and getting a carton of milk for like much less than that usually? It just doesn't compute. Who would treat this guy like he's their drug dealer, like their plug? Like, passing out free milk cartons like, hey, come here. I've got some milk cartons in the trunk of my car. First one's free. But if you ever need your fix, you can meet me by the CVS dumpster. I got plenty more milk cartons where that came from. Like, I just can't even imagine that world. That's so wild. This was an organized crime, basically, where they are working in unison to steal products from a company, and obviously the person receiving those products was selling stolen goods. Officials told WTVJ that Island Dairy conducted an internal investigation that uncovered the irregularities and identified the potential suspects. Police were then contacted and began surveillance on the suspects. Hours later, investigators said they captured the transfer of stolen dairy products on video. So they got him. They got him. This is actually a pretty sizable theft here. $1 million plus worth of milk is fucking crazy. So yeah, I definitely wanted to share that one because, wow, what a plan to steal and sell milk, of all things. Anyway, these were just two stories I had read recently and watched, I suppose, since there's videos of both, that have really just stuck with me. I keep thinking about them because they're so goofy. Florida, but one criticism you'll never hear about this state is that the people are boring. Florida men never disappoint. Period. I don't care who you are or where you are in the world, you know about the beautiful creatures known as Florida men. And today I want to talk to you about a brave explorer. His name is Reza Bellucci. Now, you might know of him more recently because 2 days ago he was arrested after trying to cross the Atlantic Ocean in a hamster wheel floating ball, basically. But what you may not know is that he has attempted very similar feats numerous times in the past. In fact, he even has an entire Vice documentary made about him and his ideas. Rather, idea is the wrong word. It's a passion, a calling, nay, his destiny, to, for some reason, walk across water a long distance in a bubble. In the Vice documentary, they cover one of his attempts to go 1,000 miles from Miami to Bermuda in basically the bubble boy thing from the old Jake Gyllenhaal movie. There's even this really cool shot here where it looks like an AC-130 mission from Modern Warfare. This shit looks like some aerial phenomenon, like a UFO that would have just been declassified by the government. He always gets stopped by authorities trying to save his life from just ending up lost adrift at sea endlessly and dying of starvation and dehydration. But he just keeps coming back. In one of the attempts here, one of the people interviewed mentions that Mr. Bellucci stopped to ask another boat for directions on how to get to Bermuda. So he's not exactly a sailor or anything. He doesn't know where he's going when he gets out on the water. He just knows he needs to get out on the water, and from there, Jesus will take the hamster wheel and guide him where he needs to go, I suppose. Because he doesn't have any way of navigating it, I guess. So there's no doubt if he wasn't stopped by authorities every single time, he probably would have ended up dead by now. In fact, I would say that with 100% confidence, he would have not survived this. Because he just gets into a fucking inflatable hamster wheel and starts running, hoping that he gets to the destination he has in mind. Now, what's really interesting is he actually seems like a really wholesome, nice guy. He is a very talented runner, actually. He is very good at like running marathons. He does a lot and has done a lot for a long time in that scene. And he always runs with a purpose. Usually it's charitable. He likes to run to raise money to help the community around him and help others. And even when doing these missions, the goal is raising money for charitable causes. I still am a little unsure exactly how, considering he just starts running out into the open sea, and there's really no way of knowing exactly what's going on. And his wife in the documentary even says how scared she always is anytime he starts doing this, because she doesn't know if she's ever going to see him again, because he just gets pushed out there and she just has to throw her hands up and say, all right, I hope I see you again. And in the documentary, they even say, you know, like how dangerous it is. Like, what about a hurricane? And Mr. Bellucci's response was, if there's a hurricane, I'll just go wherever it takes me. So it's just, like, he seems like a really good guy who's become obsessed with the most dangerous idea ever. Just running in open water forever, basically. It's important to mention he does have GPS with him. He doesn't just go out there raw. Like, he has supplies, he has a lot of equipment that he goes out with, but it's not exactly the most effective means of navigating the sea. There are a ton of other factors at play, and having GPS is helpful, of course, but it's not going to solve every problem. Far from it, actually. And it's really sad watching the documentary because in one of his more recent trips, the Bermuda one, the authorities after 5 days did come into the equation and they ended up sinking his bubble with all of his material in it, I believe. So he had like a laptop to watch movies apparently and just a ton of stuff and a ton of money he put into the bubble. They said it was like $120,000 of his own money. But they really didn't do it out of like being evil assholes or malicious or anything. It did save his life, and it's something he himself recognized. He said, I don't need you to save my life. He doesn't want that. He wants to do this mission, no matter the cost, I guess. I don't know, the whole thing is just really kind of sad, and he keeps doing it. So I don't want to get like too focused on like his previous missions. The reason we're talking about him today is because he just went on another mission that once again ended with an arrest. You see about the Florida man who got arrested for trying to run from Florida to London in a giant hamster wheel today? Yeah, and that's what it just goes to show you what's wrong with this country. You can't even just go on your own little adventures anymore without Big Brother stepping in and telling you no. Like, whatever happened to freedom? Can't take my giant inflatable hamster wheel and cross the Atlantic? Freedom ain't free anymore. These poor patriots. These Florida intellectuals. They couldn't complete their task. Literally 1984. Yeah. Ridiculous. They saved his ass from a burial at sea. They saved him from a grand adventure, is what they did. Florida man was arrested after trying to run to London across the Atlantic Ocean in a homemade vessel resembling a hamster wheel. Officials said the 44-year-old marathon runner refused to leave the vessel for 3 days. Whoa, wait, what? How much food did he pack? 3 days he spent in there? That's like Jack Sparrow on the island in the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Mr. Bellucci has tried 3 similar voyages before, all of which ended in Coast Guard intervention. This man is determined. Just let him go! He's got it figured out. He'll be fine. Plus, let's think about it this way. Let's say he does go out there and, you know, maybe things get a little hectic. Maybe a hurricane starts to form. Luckily, he's got the hamster wheel and all the fins on it. He can start running in the opposite direction of the hurricane and dissipate it. He could do us a huge favor. This guy could be a legitimate hero to us. We got hurricanes forming every goddamn day now. Born in the wrong time. True. The makeshift contraption he was using is shaped like a wheel with paddles. They're designed to propel it forward. Based on the condition of the vessel, which was afloat as a result of wiring and buoys, officers determined Bellucci was conducting a manifestly unsafe voyage. Officials said he refused to step off the vessel and threatened to kill himself. Jesus Christ. He also claimed that he had a bomb on board. What the fuck? Was he going to London to blow it up? Like, why would he have a bomb on board? Jesus Christ. On September 1st, he eventually surrendered and abandoned his vessel after being brought to the Coast Guard base in Miami. He is now facing federal charges of obstruction of a boarding and violation of a captain of the port order. That is a very cool sounding charge. It is unclear whether he obtained a lawyer to represent him in this criminal case. This was not Mr. Bellucci's first arrest for taking to the ocean in his vessel, which he calls the Bubble. In 2021, he was arrested after being rescued while trying to ride from Florida to New York after drifting 30 miles south of his departure point. In 2014, he had to be rescued from a similar contraption near St. Augustine. And then 2 years later, he again had to be rescued off the coast of Jupiter near Palm Beach. He's just a fan of the sea. He's no different than Luffy, but instead of a pirate ship, he's got a giant fucking hamster ball. The sea calls to him. It beckons. According to previous interviews, Mr. Bellucci said he was attempting voyages to raise money for a variety of causes, including for the homeless and the Coast Guard. How? Where's the money? Where's the money coming from? Does he have like a tip jar on board? I don't know how he'd be raising money. He's raising money for his previous rescue bills. The Atlanteans speak through this man. He's compelled to wheel across the 7 seas. That's what I'm thinking. You can't stop him. He'll do it again. This is his 3rd time. He'll be back next year. You see that Florida man that got arrested for telling a playground of kids where babies come from? Oh, that is a classic. Yeah, this was a great one. This is classic Florida man shit. Florida man arrested after telling kids where babies come from. And the mugshot here looks so good. So basically what happened is he climbed on top of some playground shit, and he just started shouting. And eventually said where babies come from. Not all heroes wear capes. Yeah, I mean, he's educating, honestly. And to be honest, this is better than some Florida schools when it comes to education. He probably could have done it in some more scientific terms instead of yelling about pussy and all. But what's luckier than winning the lottery? Getting a license plate that has the word ass in it. That's right. And this gift was bestowed upon a 70-year-old woman who I feel at first didn't really appreciate it, but began slowly to warm up to it.
The top at 5:30, a Pompano Beach woman is trying to unravel the mystery behind a racy license plate.
And there you see her holding it up. She was sent this when she renewed her tag.
It should have been me, not her. Squeeze ass. Now, she was wearing a pretty wacky shirt there for the interview that said that she is right now the oldest that she ever has been. So, it feels pretty lighthearted, but when she first received this license plate, it seemed more disappointed than anything. Disappointed, confused, maybe even slightly appalled even, when really the initial response should have been jubilation. To get that license plate squeeze ass is a very rare thing indeed.
And I didn't know I was getting a plate.
When Nancy Delastrita went to collect her mail, she got quite the surprise, a new license plate with her vehicle registration renewal.
And I looked at it and I said, I don't think so.
The plate reads SQZ-A55, but from a distance, those 55s can be read as S's. Well, you get the picture.
You bet your sweet bippy I get the picture. Who doesn't? Who doesn't love a little bit of squeezing ass, a little honking on the cheeks? It's a universally appreciated activity. And to be able to proudly display that on your vehicle daily, my goodness, the heavens smiled upon you. I can't fathom getting such a immaculate gift from Santa's workshop and then saying, I don't think so. I was disappointed to see her express that.
Squeeze blank.
I don't think a woman that lives in a senior community that's going to be 77 years old next month will be driving around with what this plate has to say.
But why not? It has something wonderful to say. Let it preach the gospel. Let it sing. Squeeze ass. Now, if this was on purpose, like if you had sent in to have the squeeze ass tag put on there, then it teeters into being a bit cringe. Like I see a few custom plates on the road here and there that are just kind of lame. One of them I saw said Riz. Like that kind of shit is just boo. That's lame. But when you are going on 77 years old and you receive from old Uncle Sam a license plate that unintentionally says squeeze ass, that's amazing. And I'm sure everyone in the retirement center would appreciate the messaging. It's lighthearted, it's wholesome, and it'd be a cool little piece of your identity. Like, oh, there goes Nancy again, I can tell because it says squeeze ass on her vehicle. I think that's fun. I think that's nice.
The plates become the talk around her retirement community, especially the men. We were with her when she showed it to one of her 89-year-old neighbors.
And this is what I received from the DMV for my new license plate. That's good for 10 years. Good.
Florida license plates have been made at a state prison in North Florida for almost a century. Then they're funneled through the county agencies.
The prisoner who whipped that one up put an extra dollop of love in there. Squeeze ass made it through the system here and right into the lap of Nancy, and it was the talk of the town there in the retirement community there. You could even see that guy saying, good. That's right, that's great, Nancy. Like, that's such a wonderful license plate to have. So many would cherish that, and I do think eventually she warmed up to the idea by the end of the interview here, which is nice to see, but I'm just kind of surprised that the initial reaction wasn't like a smile and maybe even a slight, like one of these, celebrating.
Nancy's plate was mailed from the Broward Property Tax Collector's office. We went there to try to help her get some answers.
It's a question about a tag, if you want to replace a tag.
And while no one wanted to talk on camera, we were told anyone unhappy with a plate can turn it in for another one for free.
I'm kind of resigning to it.
I really can't help but wonder why this is even a news story. You know what I mean? Why the fuck would they even bother, like, investigating this? They went to the office to get information on something they could have looked up on Google in 3 seconds on how to replace a tag that you don't want, or if it's faulty or something wrong with it or whatever. But boots on the ground is appreciated, I suppose. So they march in there, cameras on, asking about ye old squeeze ass plate, what can be done about this? And they're just telling them, like, yeah, I mean, we can replace it for free if you don't like it or something. If you're not like a fan of buttocks, if you're not a fan of firmly grasping tuchus, we can do something about it, I suppose. But Nancy comes around to it. She said she's kind of resigning herself to it now. I think she's starting to see the light there and what this can bring to the community and how much fun it can be to have such a whimsical tag.
And I figured maybe it was just destined to be on my car.
So for now, Nancy's keeping the tag, although she is planning to let the state know about it. She'll see the reaction when she goes public with her new plate.
I can handle it if I get a few honks here and there. Actually, being over 70, I might like a few honks.
Now, full disclosure, Nancy is mother to one of our company managers. Well,
so there's the answer. It turns out Nancy is the mother to one of the company's managers, so I'm assuming it went like this. It's a slow news day. What do we got going on? Well, I mean, my mom gave me a call. She got a cool license plate that says squeeze ass. Perfect. We'll be out there this afternoon to get the scoop. There's something kind of oddly sweet about that, to be honest. Like, it seems like Nancy appreciated the coverage, and as she said, you know what? Maybe it was just destiny. Maybe this is like, Batman, encountering bats for the first time. This is, I think, a big moment, and it's something that she even said, maybe there's something to look forward there. Like, if people honk at her, you know what? Maybe that'd be kind of nice. I don't know who would see that license plate and then just start honking like it's a cartoon, like, ooga, squeeze ass, and you just fucking hammer on the horn. I don't know how frequently that would happen, but maybe. I guess it's possible. That would be kind of concerning behavior. That would be like a Neanderthal doing that. But I mean, yeah, I guess that'd be kind of cool too, I suppose. Anyway, now the broadcast signs off saying that they're still keeping their finger on the pulse here to get to the bottom of how this happened. Why? I can tell you how this happened, just by chance. Like, it wasn't some nefarious scheme here. In Florida, they use just a random assortment of letters and numbers. This was bound to happen eventually. I'm also confident it's not the first time it's happened. It's just one of the few times it's been covered on mainstream news outlets. Like, I bet there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people around the country right now with all kinds of different variations of ass in their license plate. And good heavens, I hate to say it, I dare not, but I shan't resist. They probably have even worse on their tags as well. I imagine they probably do their best to avoid that from happening, but pumping out so many random numbers and letters on these license plates for so long, it's gonna happen eventually. And there are infinite examples to pull from with crazy license plates spotted in the wild. Like this classic, for example, late for anal. Eventually, the owner of this magnum opus did have a license plate change. But the point is, it's not uncommon. There's plenty out there with ass, anal, all kinds of naughtiness on the plates because it's just random. So it's going to roll to that kind of shit eventually. But hats off to Nancy for getting a good one. I've lived in Florida my whole life. Don't feel bad, save your tears and sympathy for someone else, because I don't fucking need them. Living in this wasteland has made me a stronger man. It's taught me discipline, taught me to say no to bath salts, taught me to run away from old men at the beach. Invaluable life lessons that you can't learn anywhere else. And over the last decade or so, people have really been making fun of Florida, if you can even believe that. Mainly for their crazy headlines like, Florida man sticks bottle rockets up his asshole at the zoo, hops the fence at the alligator exhibit, charges alligators with bottle rockets flying out of his colon, spectators traumatized. And, this whole Florida man epidemic. And I thought, well, I've lived here for so long, I think I'm the only one qualified enough to rank these Florida men stories. So today is going to be a nice little Florida man tier list, so let's just go ahead and get right into this here. The first story here is just a classic Florida fairy tale. Man strips naked at a Chick-fil-A and chases strangers around, screaming for them to look at his penis. When officers arrive at the scene, he demands the officers look at his penis and his ass. Hitting the officers with the wombo combo. In the body cam footage, you can hear him say, "Look at my ass, how do you feel?" Reminds me of something a therapist would say when they hold up the ink blots and then say, hey, are you getting an emotional response? These Rorschachs, are they making you feel something? So perhaps it wouldn't be too big of a leap to say that maybe this man was just trying to look out for the mental health of everyone at the Chick-fil-A by proudly parading his cock balls and ass around. Now overall, this story isn't special. This is happening at every Chick-fil-A on a weekly basis in Florida. I can't even remember the last time I dined at a Chick-fil-A without a floppy penis in front of my face. I just thought it'd be good to ease us on into this with a common occurrence story like this. So I'm going to go ahead and put this at a D tier rating here just because it is very bland. It's like the vanilla ice cream of Florida man stories. Now this next story is one I'm sure we're all familiar with by now, and it revolves around bath salts. The story that put bath salts on the map. In 2012 in Miami, a homeless man was eating the face off of another homeless man due to being under the influence of bath salts. Everyone speculated this could be the first outbreak of a zombie apocalypse or something. The doomsday where zombies befall all of us and eat all of our fucking faces off. This was massive. This was like the new boogeyman. Parents would tell their kids, eat those vegetables or a bath salt addict is going to bust through the window and eat your face off. It was terrifying, but I think it's very important that we put this on the tier list to highlight the dangers of bath salts as well as just remember how close we were to some type of Resident Evil future with bath salts and cannibalism. So this is going at a B ranking, and it really was absolutely horrible, but this story was so massive that it's impossible to ignore when talking about Florida. It's something that Florida's become known for with its bath salts and then this cannibalism incident, because it happened a couple times if I remember correctly, but I just wanted to talk about the most famous one here. And since we're already talking about zombies and eating faces off, let's talk about state of survival. If you want to be prepared prepared for the zombie apocalypse, you can try State of Survival.
The most fun way of preparing for apocalypse is through State of Survival, the zombie-themed survival strategy mobile game that immerses you in a post-apocalyptic world where you need to learn how to survive. This game has everything: an interesting storyline with virus leakage, battle, conspiracy, even more virus leakage, rebellion, and even an evil company called Gigacorp, those responsible for the zombie outbreak currently plaguing us. In order to defeat Gigacorp, you must develop your settlements and push back the infernal undead. Enlist the help of your closest and most trusted friends by creating alliances to compete in both action-packed PvE and PvP battles with stunning graphics and tower defense gameplay. Just between you and me, there are also a lot of crazy hidden secrets to be found behind the scenes. This free-to-play game is full of fun in-game events with exciting resource rewards. By playing State of Survival, you will learn all the necessary skills to survive in the apocalypse. Do you have what it takes to fight against an overwhelming amount of zombies? Find out now. If you download State of Survival now using our link, you will also enter an Amazon gift code giveaway automatically. Use code Penguinz0 to claim an in-game starter pack, and State of Survival will choose 15 random people to win $50 Amazon gift cards.
So if you're interested, you can download State of Survival now using the link below, and you can use our creator code to just get a nice little in-game starter pack to help you build up your settlements, speed ups, and plenty of resources, as well as a rare hero named Rusty. So if you're interested, feel free. Now, buckle your seatbelts for this one. Really strap in, because this is a wild ride. In 2018, a 71-year-old man's body was found. He was shot in the chest, pronounced dead, and ruled a homicide. But there was no gun to be found, and it was a very mysterious death. With all the surveillance camera footage they had, everything just seemed very fishy. Was the Zodiac killer back? What had happened to this 71-year-old man who had no enemies or anyone that would want him dead? His wallet and everything wasn't taken. It wasn't some kind of robbery. So the question becomes, who killed this man and why? In a case fit for Sherlock Holmes, these detectives had a Herculean task in front of them. Over the next few weeks, they made little progress in cracking this case. There was no signs of a struggle. It clearly wasn't a robbery. They had no really good leading theories on what went on. They could have fucking speculated Slender Man had killed this guy for all they knew. It wasn't until they finally unlocked his phone that they started to notice some very odd things. Firstly, he had purchased a 600-gallon weather balloon and a 40-cubic-foot helium tank. This was very out of character for this particular man, according to his family, and then it was at this point that they started to actually walk the trail they found him on and found a very odd discrepancy in the time between the gunshot and the time it actually takes to walk from the entrance where he was picked up on camera to where he was ultimately shot. It was at this point that a man named Detective Brian hatched this crazy fucking tinfoil condom conspiracy theory where he said it's not a homicide, it was a suicide. Detective Brian speculated that this particular 71-year-old gentleman had purchased a weather balloon, rubber bands, this helium tank, and had tied a gun to a string, shooting himself in the chest with the gun and having the weather balloon carry the gun away, getting rid of the evidence. This man is like the fucking L from Death Note with this kind of theory. But, as it would turn out, after unlocking his phone, going through his search history, the 71-year-old man was Googling how to commit suicide, how much helium is required to carry an item that weighs X amount of pounds away, and all kinds of things that would indicate that he was researching how to shoot himself and then carry the gun away on a weather balloon. The reason for why still remains a mystery to this day. But this case has officially been ruled a suicide, and the most likely place where he learned this method came from an episode in 2003 of CSI Las Vegas where they weather ballooned a gun out of a crime scene. They have no fucking idea why he did this and faked his own murder. Maybe he just wanted to create a little mystery for detectives to solve, just to challenge them or something, to make sure they were fit for their position. No one has any fucking clue there. But I know that everyone says everyone in Florida is really goddamn stupid, just a bunch of fucking idiots living in Florida, but I think this man proves them all wrong. This was nearly the perfect crime, and he would have got away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling wives unlocking his phone, because if they hadn't unlocked his phone and saw a search history, they would still have no idea what happened. I'm definitely putting this at an S-tier Florida man story. This next story is pretty brand new. This happened very recently with a Florida man clinging to the hood of a semi-truck and riding it for 9 miles in what is a high-octane, full-throttle, nuts-to-butts action sequence. So in the video, you can see the man on the hood of the semi-truck. He's banging on the window's cracked. The truck driver's panicking, swerving, braking hard, trying everything he can to get this man off his hood, damn near trying to do like a fucking backflip with his semi-truck to get him off, and it's not working. This man has got the death grip on the hood. This shit looks like a scene out of Fast and Furious or Mission Impossible. Like, who's to say this isn't Tom Cruise doing a stunt on the highway? Now, we don't know what led to this whole ordeal here. Maybe a verbal argument where the truck driver said, hey, kissing your sister is bad, and this guy took offense and hopped on the hood. There's really no telling. Plugging this into the tier list, this is an easy A. Now, there are going to be some people that fight me on this ranking, I understand that, but I'm going to defend it. Even though the camera work here is great, the people that filmed this did a fantastic job. Hats off to them, sloppy kisses on the lips for them, because the filming here is wonderful. The only thing it's lacking is an explanation. I don't know the lore, I don't know why this has happened, and actually I kind of would have liked to see a little more action, like some Michael Bay shit. Maybe there's some trees exploding in the background, maybe an attack helicopter gets involved chasing or something, you know? I just feel like there was room for even more crazy shit to happen. But as it is, it's a fantastic Florida man freakout. Now let's go ahead and tackle what everyone kind of knows Florida for, alligators. For some reason, alligators are so central to the image of Florida that it's one of the first things people picture right next to incest. So we're going to go ahead and go through some alligator stories here, kind of speed run them, because there is a fucking ton of these, so we just chose some of the best ones that we could find. So the first one here is pretty recent. A few years ago, a man was arrested for throwing a live 3-foot alligator through the drive-thru window of a Wendy's. We don't know exactly what motivated him to do this. Perhaps it was for a viral TikTok challenge. There's really no telling, but the man was charged with aggravated assault. I don't know if the alligator was charged, but I do hope the alligator finds some better friends. Now, this is definitely a C-tier story. Perhaps there's more to this, like maybe it's some Guardians of the Galaxy shit where maybe this alligator is this guy's sidekick, you know? Maybe they're like a tag team of crime or something. But it's not the greatest Florida man story out there, and it would have been even cooler if he was like akimboing alligators, like dual-wielding them, and then tossed them both in or something. That would have at least brought it up to a B. But this shit is a terrible fucking prank if that's what it was. This next story comes from Jacksonville, where a Facebook prankster goes into a convenience store with a live alligator and chases a man around pretending that he's mad about the last bit of beer. He was clearly doing this as a joke and then grabs his little Miller Lite to butt chug in the bathtub later and throw up. This is absolutely an F-tier Florida man story. This shit fucking sucks. Facebook pranksters suck. This whole thing is garbage. Chasing people with an alligator in a store. It's some cruel garbage. Absolute fucking trash. Now this next one's actually a heartwarming story. Most Florida men just kick and beat up alligators or rape them. Just some fucking terrible shit that these Florida inbreds do to alligators. But this guy is actually very sweet. He treats them like little family pets by reading them stories and singing to them, and recently he's been doing it during the pandemic to keep them calm and relaxed. He was worried the alligators were stressing, so he began reading some like Dr. Seuss books to them and singing some songs like Wonderwall and shit in their exhibit, and it's actually just adorable. This is a heartwarming tale involving Florida men and alligators, so this one's definitely going up there at a nice, cool B-tier Florida man story. Now this next story sounds like something out of Leonardo DiCaprio's Catch Me If You Can. So a man in Daytona was being charged with threats against Chevrolet. He was demanding $50,000 in a 2019 Chevy Malibu, which looks like dog shit, by the way. No offense to Malibu drivers out there, but if you're gonna risk your fucking life for the sake of a car, you might as well choose a good car, like a Cybertruck or 2 school buses stacked on top of each other, or something fucking badass like a Mad Max mobile. But anyway, he wanted the Malibu, he wanted $50,000, and he was threatening to release customers' social security numbers that he had found. And in response, obviously Chevrolet filed charges against this man, and this guy hatched the genius idea of impersonating the prosecutors and having the charges dropped against himself. So his plan was pretty simple. He used the Florida bar numbers and the names of a couple prosecutors and filed a no information filing against himself, meaning there were no charges against him. Unfortunately, this man, being the fucking Neanderthal that he is, filed the wrong papers, and that triggered a lot of alarms, and they were able to deduce that this was not the actual prosecutors, this was the man in question pretending to be them, which in and of itself carries multiple other felonies. So by impersonating these people, he got himself an additional 3 or 4 felonies, I think it was, and could face multiple decades in prison for it, and he is currently being held without bail. This right here is an A-tier Florida man scheme. This is absolutely fantastic. The only reason it's not an S-tier scheme is because I would have liked a little bit more ingenuity when it comes to impersonating. I mentioned Catch Me If You Can earlier. I think it was a lot more creative what he was able to do. This, he just looked up Florida bar numbers and some names and then pretended to file the documents. He grabbed some other papers as well and just kind of altered them a little bit. So he filed a lot of fraudulent shit, but nothing about it really screamed creative genius, you know what I mean? It could have been a lot more in-depth, but even as it stands, it's great. He got himself an additional couple decades in prison as a result of him trying to be some kind of super clever supervillain, so it's a very good story, definitely worthy of A tier at least. In Newport Richey, a man was arrested for trying to steal a truck with a teen in the back seat of the truck. So of the 5 people that live in Newport Richey, unfortunately one of them turned out to be a criminal. And the story doesn't stop there. After this man was arrested, he was released from jail 3 days later and was again arrested in the parking lot for trying to steal a car that had an off-duty officer inside of it. He left the prison and he walked over to a car with an officer inside of it, yanked on the handle and tried to steal it, and was again arrested. So this was kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy here. He kind of took care of himself. I think he just enjoyed being in jail and was trying to speed run going back. So this right here, I'm giving this a C tier ranking, and I look forward to revisiting this story in a year or so when he's arrested again for trying to steal an ice cream truck or something. These are all the Florida man stories that we wanted to cover this time around. Obviously there's hundreds of thousands to choose from, but these were the ones that we remembered and definitely thought were worth ranking on a tier list, at least to start. So yeah, that's about it. So yeah. Wanted to vent. Florida is America's asshole. It fucking sucks here. I have left my house 3 times in the last 4 months thinking that by doing this very simple act that an actual fucking baby could accomplish with minimal whining, that the coronavirus cases would start to slow down, kind of like they have everywhere else in the world. But Florida is full of so many brainwashed, vapid, revolting, idiotic ghouls that it's not only increasing every day, but setting new records every fucking day for the coronavirus here in Florida. We just hit a new record of 15,000 new cases a few days ago. We've been getting more than 10,000 cases a day for quite a while now. Today's actually been an extremely good day. Florida's on the turnaround right now. We're making big moves. Today we only had 9,000 new cases clocked, but we also had a record number of deaths for a single day. So you win some, you lose some. It's a give or take, and hey, we'll fucking take those. We can't stop copping dubskis down here in Florida. Bunch of fucking dumbass ghouls here. And cracked out, methed out fucking idiots in this state that read Facebook and then translate these goddamn stupid memes that someone started that's probably locked in a shit-stained basement and for some reason believe that reptilians are controlling viruses, and now they take it and transfer it to the real world and it actively hurts everyone around. It is such a fucking upsetting circumstance in this godforsaken state, if you can even call it a state. I don't think Florida's a state. This is a goddamn laboratory. And what we manufacture here is coronavirus. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, when's coronavirus going to end? Can't wait for coronavirus to be over. Fuck you. I promise you, for as long as Florida exists, coronavirus will not only exist, but will absolutely thrive. We are a coronavirus farm. More than that, we're a coronavirus fucking personal trainer. We're teaching coronavirus how to become better and more effective by just being really fucking stupid. But, you know, it's not all bad. To be fair, there's actually a lot of good news in Florida. We just reopened Disney World, so, you know, the world of dreams, baby. The Magic Kingdom is in full effect again, baby. So come on down. There's never been a better time to visit Disney World during a pandemic. My dog probably understands more about coronavirus than these fucking stupid people that are out on the streets protesting it and shit. Speaking of anti-mask protesting, let's go ahead and take a look at one that happened yesterday. Let's see what kind of high IQ intellectuals we're dealing with at these protests. So one brave hero opened a grilled cheese restaurant and said, "We don't care about masks, you don't need them here." So the police came in because masks are kind of a big deal and said, "Hey, you need masks." And that's when all hell broke loose. Jesus Christ, blood, tits, and cum was flying everywhere in the restaurant. Children are being snapped in half, taken over the knee, and just busted right in two as the people were shouting, stand down, fighting against tyranny. Something you'd read about in the Bible. Good versus evil, mask versus no mask, the clash of the titans. The abominable anti-mask troglodytes in one unified voice said, we wanted grilled cheese, and we didn't want to put something over our face, god damn it. It is our right as Americans to not wear a mask in a grilled cheese restaurant.
It's wrong what you're doing. It's wrong, America. This is America. This is America. You're not a communist. This is not communist China.
Now, I'd be a fool to think any of these anti-maskers are literate, so I don't expect any of them have ever read a history textbook, but I find it almost humorous how identical this is to McCarthyism. If those of you that don't know, McCarthyism was pretty much a point in American history where a man named McCarthy would accuse people he didn't like of being a communist, and people are doing that exact same thing with people they don't like that are wearing a mask, or just in general things they don't like. I don't want to do this, that means it's communism. Oh my goodness, what is that over your face? Is that cloth? How can you breathe? You're suffocating yourself, you communist. No, I won't wear a mask, you communist. Guarantee half these people can't spell communism. But I do actually find it interesting how history repeats itself. I know growing up you'd always get told, oh, we have to study history so it doesn't repeat itself, but I always thought that was a load of dog shit because I mean, it didn't make sense to me. Why would history repeat itself? But now I see I was just outright wrong, and it does actually seem to repeat itself, which is pretty fucking wild.
You want to call me selfish for not wearing a mask? I want to say to you, all the people calling me selfish, you're the one who's trying to force me a medical procedure so you can feel more safe.
Chris, I don't only want to call you selfish, I'd also like to call you a homunculus. I think if pathetic was a person, it'd look a lot like you, Chris. Out here striking like an Uncle Sam pose here, calling putting a mask on your face a medical procedure. Yeah, you're not only selfish, Chris, you're also very dumb. The lack of self-awareness is actually remarkable, calling her a Karen when he's out here dressed like one of those overly handsy middle school gym teachers that eventually gets busted for being inappropriate with the students, and making this huge hoopla about taking 1 second out of your morning routine to put on a mask before going to stuff your fucking face with 3,000 calories at a greasy grilled cheese restaurant. Yeah, she's the Karen, Chris. Hi, Chris and Tara. You're not actually up against people. You're up against a virus. You see, this fucking misinformation is turning people on each other. Mask versus no mask people, as opposed to the actual issue at hand being the virus. These people like to believe that they're not perpetual failures, but in reality they are, and they're also sheep. They hate sheep, but they themselves are actual, real sheep. They blindly follow mysterious posts on Facebook that somehow always find a way to draw a divide between people. I'm not one to subscribe to many conspiracy theories, but I firmly do believe that there is an outside force manipulating these really gullible idiots like this into transferring the actual issue from a virus to other people. So that way, if you have them distracted and don't give a fuck about the virus, just have them attacking other people, you can just cause a lot more chaos that way. And I really feel like that's the goal with a lot of the shit on Facebook. I really do think Facebook in and of itself is just an actual virus as well. It should be labeled a pandemic too. It is a truly festering, disease-ridden cesspool. There's a few more clips from this anti-mask rally, but it's just more of the same diarrhea drivel from someone else's mouth. I think what's even the saddest part about this is more and more people across the world keep laughing at Florida and the people in Florida, and that only cements their belief that they're right even more. It's such a weird circumstance where the more they get mocked, insulted, laughed at, berated, belittled, it makes them more powerful and cements their beliefs even further, which makes absolutely no sense to me. Who likes to get ridiculed? Why? It's weird. It's like people in Florida have a humiliation fetish. Like maybe they're putting something in the water to turn everyone here into some kind of like humiliation craving cuck. I don't really know, but it's genuinely fucking baffling how people can be so content to just get constantly made fun of in every corner of the world. Nobody respects Florida right now, and for very good and very obvious reasons. But those reasons and that actual just laughing at and mocking is making them believe it even more. It's crazy and sad and fucking frustrating, and it's all that's been on my mind for like the last week, so I just wanted to get it all out of my system here in Ventable Life. I've seen things that you'd only read about in fairy tales. I could tell you stories that you would swear were false. I knew a guy in college who used to ask to lick people's shoes on the streets, the bottom of their shoes on the street, for his own sexual gratification, I imagine. I don't know if it was sexual, it's my theory, but he used to love licking shoes, and he became known as the Ybor shoe licker. Ybor being the area that he resides in. Point is, I'm getting lost in the lore of the Florida comic book superheroes. The point is, these eyes have laid upon things that could traumatize even the most grizzled of Navy SEALs. And yet still I'm surprised by some of the things that happen in Florida. Today I watched a news story that I can't make heads or tails of. I don't know who's in the right and who's in the wrong here. So I just wanted to share it with all of you because it's starting to convince me that Florida is not even a real place. It's just like a giant sketch comedy section. Like a quarantine zone of bad sketches gone wrong.
Well, I went to jail. They come arrested me last Thursday. They were here.
I lose them to animals, but I was not expecting them to lose them to my neighbor. That was like my friend.
So those are the main characters here, and I'll give you a quick backstory. So they're neighbors, and one of them killed the other's rooster. Now, the guy's claiming it was done in self-defense because the rooster was extremely aggressive, and he's facing potentially up to like 5 years in jail for animal cruelty. He already spent like 30 hours in jail for this. The other guy's claiming he did it just maliciously to kill the rooster, and we're about to get a lot of exposition here, so get ready.
I didn't know to give it a 21-gun salute. CPR, mouth to mouth, or call the chicken ambulance.
Big Roo was Jason De Felice's pet rooster. That is, until James Nix hit it with a stick.
Now, like a game of Clue, we have the murder weapon and the location of the murder. But we don't know the circumstances as to why. We know James is responsible for the execution of Big Roo, but we don't know the motive. We also know James sounds like Larry the Cable Guy, but that might not be good evidence for us. We get James's side of the story here, and the way he tells this war story makes it sound like Big Roo was the raid boss of this trailer park. He makes it sound like, Big Roo was coming around the block to shake James down for his lunch money, and James panicked and in self-defense hit it with a stick, which unfortunately killed the rooster. He didn't mean to kill it, he just wanted to get it away from him, but it unfortunately led to the demise of Big Roo. He then says that he didn't do CPR or mouth-to-mouth or call the chicken ambulance, saying that he didn't know what to do, kind of panicking about it, which I don't think is going to help James's case here since he just left the body in a ditch. He could have absolutely called the chicken ambulance. I mean, we all know that hotline number, like the Ghostbusters, who are you going to call? Chicken ambulance. But he didn't do even that, so he hit it with a stick and then left it. Which is sad, and I do know from personal experience, roosters can be some real aggressive sons of bitches, that's for fucking sure. I remember being a little kid and like a school field trip took us to a petting zoo. Bro, those roosters will come at you with a head of steam sometime, looking to take your fucking heart out. So I have no doubt that there probably was an element of self-defense here, but I don't blame the rooster or anything, I blame the owner. He was being kept as a pet, and the owner clearly does nothing to like monitor it or keep it on a leash. Though I don't know if you're like supposed to keep roosters on a leash and walk them or something, that I'm not familiar with. But like at least keep them from like just wandering in neighbors' yards and being let loose. The owner just didn't do anything to protect his pet and just let it wander the entire neighborhood, which gets brought up here in a minute.
So I'm defending myself. I was feared for my safety, and the chicken died.
Nick says the rooster attacked people.
I have not heard that because I know the neighbor here. I know him. Like we're friends. he never said anything to me about it.
I did tell him after the chicken hit my dad, I said, hey man, the chicken attacked my dad. It's just a chicken. What's he gonna do? You know, okay, well, look.
Now James pulls out the receipts here. He's got the photos to prove it. Man was using that Dell laptop to print these bad boys out specifically for the interview, showing that the chicken does have a history of attacking. So he's saying that his father was a victim of the Big Roo, and you can see some of the scars here. So Big Roo was terrorizing this area, though Jason disagrees, saying that no one ever said that, including James. And truthfully, I just don't know who to believe here, because it's very possible James could have just printed off any photos of a leg injury and claimed it was Big Roo that did it to try and establish a history of violence, to try and justify the self-defense with the stick. And I'd like to see the stick that struck down Big Roo, because that's got to be the biggest stick in all of Florida. Like a goddamn mahogany tree trunk, or like a caveman's club. To take out Big Roo in a single strike, that thing must have been the weight of Thor's hammer.
The neighbors even disagree on how others saw Big Roo.
The kids that used to live over there, they were throwing rocks and sticks at this chicken to keep it away.
I know the kids down here, they played with the rooster a little bit, like would throw rocks at it and chase it.
Jason, that's not playing with the rooster. That's being afraid of it and trying to get it the fuck away from them. Who plays by throwing rocks at each other? Hey, Bill, come on over here. Let's play this fun game of being stoned to death. It's great. Like, again, it's hard to know who's in the right and who's in the wrong here, but I am leaning more on the side of James did this as an accident in self-defense. Jason's attitude is pretty douchey, and he does not understand what playing is. Oh yeah, that James is a real jerk. He's a no-good liar. Everyone in the neighborhood loved Big Roo. The kids would throw rocks at him, run away screaming and crying. It was so much fun, and I know they're going to be really upset to learn the news here. Also, I think Jason does bear a big fault because he's the pet owner, and he did nothing to, monitor the pet, just leaving it completely open to roam the area, clearly. Even he's not defending that. He's talking about how, the neighborhood kids would throw rocks, so clearly there's a history of Jason just letting the rooster wander around completely unsupervised, which is very irresponsible.
One day when Nick says the rooster followed him and attacked him.
His neck flares up, and he's doing his thing, and he's trying to jump up at me.
He was trying to get the animal away.
This makes total sense to me, because if there was a big rooster coming at me and it started busting out the Squidward dance, I'd probably panic too and try and flee, or, flight or fight response would kick in. It'd be a real mess. Again, the way James tells this story just seems a lot more genuine than the way Jason tells it, but it's just so hard to know for sure. But I also think it would have made a lot of sense if James truly did this in self-defense, to go to Jason and be like, look man, we all loved Big Roo, and unfortunately something tragic just happened, and then explained it to him. I feel like it wouldn't have got this far, but it seems like he just left the rooster's corpse outside, just like rotting outside. So, which means that Jason now doesn't trust James' story, because James made no attempt to communicate what actually happened to Jason, I guess. This is just, there's so many fucking plot lines going on here. I feel like I'm trying to dissect Evangelion. It's just so many moving parts.
And I try to hit it, but the chicken's jumping up at me, and I accidentally knocked it in the head. Call it a lucky shot, whatever.
But when Dave Felice came home, all he saw was his rooster dead in a ditch.
You see what I mean? Leaving the body out there was just a bad move from James, because it immediately makes Jason question what the fuck happened and why. It makes it seem like James just killed his rooster in cold blood and left it outside like a trophy or a warning to other roosters, like Vlad the Impaler, putting the goddamn Big Roo on a pike. It's just there could have been a much more efficient way of handling this, just more communication, like, Jason, you stupid imbecile. You again left Big Roo unsupervised, and it tried to attack me, and I accidentally hit it in the head, and unfortunately it went right to Valhalla. They could have talked it out. They both shoulder a lot of blame here, but I really do think Jason's intentions were self-defense. Roosters, again, from what I understand, can be very aggressive. Jason openly states, yes, this rooster just wandered around this entire area. Neighborhood kids threw rocks. The other neighbors over here, knew the rooster. So clearly there's just a lot of problems in general with what happened here. And it's a sad story, but one that I find so fascinating.
I said, I'm calling JSO. I called JSO. JSO didn't do nothing. Then a couple days later, I realized I could call animal control.
And in late June, James Nix went to jail for animal cruelty.
Next thing you know, he calls the chicken police on me.
That's the last organization you want to visit from. The chicken police are no-nonsense, ruthless, strictly business, merciless, and they will fuck you up. God have mercy on the soul of someone who gets a visit from the chicken police.
While the neighbors continue the fight, Nick says he never should have been arrested.
Chickens are dying every day, people, at churches, Popeyes, and Kentucky Fried Chicken. Really.
He's not wrong, but it's not a great comparison either, because it's not like those chickens are being hit with a stick in the back of the restaurant. They were factory farmed. This was a guy's pet. Again, I think both people are at fault here, but I just don't know who's more in the wrong. I don't know if it's necessarily animal cruelty if it was done in self-defense. Like a rooster, I mean, they could hurt you, right? Like, it's not like they're completely unable to do damage to human beings. People get attacked by chickens and it causes damage. Usually not life-threatening or anything, but you still don't want to just be attacked by a random animal just on your way home. Again, Jason shouldn't just let his roosters wander around and, rampage this whole neighborhood, and James should have done more to tell Jason what happened, that it was an accident, that Big Roo attacked him. So again, just a wild story, and Florida is just so full of wackiness. I couldn't help but just bring this one up.